if something in you seems to be pre-wired to disrupt the status quo, or maybe in the beginning it's more to reject the status quo, like something in you feels somewhat repulsed by groupthink or a herd mentality or trendiness or following a group. Something in you just like it's repulsed by it. Now other people, they're drawn to it. Maybe they're conscious of it, maybe they're not. But if you're repulsed by it, and so your whole life you're kind of rejecting it, and you're working against it. I'm going to turn up here. It potentially puts you in a lot of very difficult circumstances, because life, if you can absorb it and you can digest it and you can be at peace with following the herd and being trendy, and if you find comfort in being a part of that whole group think, it would seem that life it feels easier. Until those, herds or groups or whatever reject you, or they turn out to be ones that lead you astray. And by astray, I mean down a path that ultimately causes you pain. But assuming that doesn't happen, it seems to be the more attractive. And for me, I have definitely attempted that route on numerous occasions, and either A, it just never sat right, didn't feel like me, I didn't feel like I belonged with it, or B, it did cause me pain and suffering, which I guess was kind of what I was saying in the first instance. So it's both, but it's just the degree of pain and suffering that you experience. So I reject it. But that's always been something I've been shamed for by myself and perhaps by society's judgmental eye, my father, because I experience such discomfort in certain situations that feel like they're not me, or I'm subjecting myself to the power of folks that lead me to a state that is not me. So it would seem that so I guess my question is, when you're that way, you tend to experience your fair share of chaos in life, uncertainty. You tend to take risks, and over time, those risks, the consequences of failure compared to the consequence of enduring being part of something with some people doing something you don't particularly enjoy, that seems to be more painful in the long run than your chaotic pursuit of something that isn't that, which can be a pretty wild ride. Because sometimes we think we're going after something that is us, and it turns out it's not us, or we are going after something that's us, but it just seems to be continuously out of our reach. But I suppose if you never give up on it, eventually you achieve it, and you can look back on your life with some sense of contentment and satisfaction that you didn't waste it. I'd rather look back on my life and say I fought to do that which was who I felt I was, uniquely who I was. I fought to do something meaningful with my life. I fought to not fall into the trap of a herds mentality, not thinking for myself, not doing anything meaningful. I fought against that. And in that journey, I built certain attributes and experiences and wisdoms and character that I then continuously tried to transform, recycle into a useful something for someone else. So, for example, making this video, it's saying, okay, I'm just trying to process and articulate that which I am going through, that which I've experienced, so that perhaps some of the scrapes and bruises that I've endured I can alleviate those and give others a better shot at achieving that which has been such a struggle for me. Now, you don't want to take that struggle away, because it's the struggle that defines us. So it's a balance, but you're always going to have the fucking struggle, no matter what. But you sure can increase the odds for someone. It's not like you're going to hand them the solution, but you can. If I'm coaching a basketball team or a football team, I could hand them no playbook and say figure it out, or I could hand them a playbook that others have used, or I could create a playbook that's just for them based on what their strengths are. And then I can add some other coaches that specialize in that which is the strength and focus of each individual player. None of that guarantees a win, let alone a championship. But it sure does increase the likelihood that that player, those players, that team will experience success. And it's a stepping stone in the direction of maybe they get a little bit closer, and then they pass an even more refined playbook with even more refined, specialized coaching down to the next generation or to the next team, and so on and so forth. But if we're not, for example, as a parent, if we're not living our lives always trying to understand this game that we're playing, always trying to figure out the right playbook, and always being willing to adapt that playbook to individual players and circumstances and opponents and teams, then what are we living for? Ourselves? Reflect.